Testing 1, 2. Your chaotic world. What's up, dude? Nothing, man. Just trying to get a stream going. Let the good times roll. So, hopefully you enjoy this one a little better. This is not going to be a technical one. This is more of a people problem. So, you might be able to relate. I think all industries kind of have alignment in some way or form. So, let's see what you think. Let's let more people roll in. Yo, Vanguard, thanks for the good wishes, man. I hope you're doing well. How have the streams been going, dude? Everything good? We're gonna let a few more people roll in, and then we'll start with the read, and then we're gonna hit the new patch on Helldivers, and we're gonna keep doing that until the next Smite comes out. When the next Smite comes out, we're on Smite. Been taking a break, unfortunately. I hope everything's good with you, man. If it's just burnout, dude, I feel it. I feel it. I empathize 100%. But I hope everything else is going okay. You know, streaming's not, you know, preparing for the stream is not like the highlight of my week. Preparing for a stream sucks, especially my setup. My setup's really, really complicated. But man, once the stream gets going, I have a good time. I have a good time. A lot of times I don't even want to get off. All right, we'll keep rolling. Yo, Chaotic World. So what game are you playing right now, man? You too, Vanguard. If you're still hanging around, what games are you guys playing? Vanguard says, "Oh, for sure. Once you get that momentum, nothing gets you off that high." Oh yeah, for sure, man. You're playing modded Starfield? Oh shit, dude, the mods must be crazy in that game. If you guys are interested to hear where the beats are coming from, it's right in there. Vanguard said, "I'm suffering on Destiny because I'm going to finish what I started 10 years ago." What is that, dude? What are... Yo! Chaotic World with them biddies, dude. Cheer one, cheer one, cheer one. Let's go, dude. Oh man, way to start the stream, my guy. Yo, so what did you start 10 years ago? I'm interested to hear. We have a close family friend. He's actually very interesting. He's for the last 10 years, I wonder if you're him, huh? For the last 10 years, he's been working on a manga, an American Western manga. And it's been getting the rounds in like Colorado and stuff, but he hasn't done a full release yet. He's just been doing like social media releases, but he plays Destiny all the time. And so every time he comes over and we do a barbecue, I get updates. But man, I'm ready for that manga to release, dude. Maybe I'll drop a link or something if you guys are interested. Lots of Star Wars mods. Oh, those have got to be dope, dude. The only thing that's left of Star Wars is probably those mods, bro. Oh, so you're saying you started Destiny the game 10 years ago and you're gonna finish it? Okay. Chaotic World just dropping biddies like it's nothing, dude. Like it's nothing. I don't think I'm gonna drink any alcohol tonight. I had some yesterday. I just feel dehydrated, man, with the heat. I think I'm just gonna chill today. Chaotic World knows exactly what I'm talking about. He said, "Oh yeah, after the mess this week." Oh man, I haven't watched it. I'm probably not going to, but man, I heard all the news. I felt Star Wars had been slipping since, man, I'm gonna say the Phantom Menace, but like, to be real, like, I forgave all that shit, I guess, but it really recently started slipping with the Last Jedi trilogy or whatever. Now everyone, even Lady Frost, was like on the train. I wasn't, dude. I wasn't. Like, I saw through all that shit. Vanguard said, right, the latest DLC came out, so it's supposed to finish the story finally. Oh, okay. That makes sense. That's why we haven't heard from our family friend at all. Chaotic World said, Star Wars is done for. I agree. 100%, man. I think it has been done for a while. Well, I think it's been bleeding out. It's been bleeding out, but yeah, it's I mean, it's not even called the Force anymore. It's called the Thread. Like, what the fuck is that? Vanguard said, I haven't watched anything beyond the 6. Well, I got in trouble at work because people were talking about the prequels. I'm like, what prequels? There's only 3 Star Wars movies. So as a kid, I was always a fan of Return of the Jedi. And then I guess maybe around the time I was in high school or college, I realized why people don't like Return of the Jedi. And so then when I was in college, after rewatching A New Hope, I'm like, man, I really like A New Hope. But then I watched it again like 4 years ago. I was kind of bored. And so I have to say, Empire Strikes Back is the best one. And I know there's some people with hot takes that say it's not. And I get it. I think I have liked one of the original 3 as my most favorite. It's just as I get older, Empire Strikes Back is just the one. Yo, Boku, what's up, duder? Just tossing out beers like they ain't nothing, dude. Like they ain't nothing. Got 6 viewers. If we could get one more viewer, we'll go ahead and start. One more viewer. Boku said, I watched 4, 5, and 6. They were okay. I watched 1, 2, and 3, and they were okay. I don't know. Personally, I liked 1, 2, and 3 more than 4, 5, and 6. Well, yeah, I guess I get it, because you see more battles. I think Obi-Wan was dope in the prequels. For argument's sake, you get to see more of the politics. Like, you get to see the Senate and the blockades, and you get to see a lot of that. You get to see a lot of the diplomacy. I feel like the graphics don't really hold up, but I feel like they still look pretty good. But in the originals, they have been remastered so many times. If you've ever seen the original like Laserdisc ones, like it really looks like just a little toy floating like with a black, fucking like paper mache background in space. It looks terrible. Boku said, I think that 4, 5, and 6 did for their time was pretty good, but the tech used in 1, 2, and 3 and the evolution for Anakin was just peak for me. Yeah, and what I hate about prequels, but I guess with Star Wars you had to. What I hate about prequels is every single time they do a prequel, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be like that with Mad Max, which I'm not going to watch the Furiosa movie. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if they say it's the coming of Christ. I'm not going to fucking watch it. But my problem with prequels is that the tech is always better in the prequel. Like, you see that with Borderlands also. It's like, oh, man. Like, you got to show me worse tech. I think they even did that with Gears of War. Like, even in Gears of War, even in prequel games, the tech's better in the prequel. It's like, nah, dude. I want to see shittier stuff. Show me advancement has been made. Can you guys think of any IP, maybe a game or a movie or show where the prequel actually showed worse shit and it was still cool? Maybe Halo? No, see, even Halo, they had fucking jetpacks in the prequel, right? I'm like, fuck, man. What was something that the prequel got worse? But it has to be like a long-lived property. Like, I even feel like even in for the small amount of stuff I watched with Harry Potter, that was the case too. So Vanguard said, I really enjoyed the Cartoon Network shorts, ones made by Samurai Jack, Dexter's Lab, etc. Oh yeah, those were good, dude. Well, I heard they brought back Toonami, right? Don't mess with Reach. Oh man, I knew someone was gonna say something. Oh, we got our extra viewer. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, and then we'll keep these conversations going. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay. All right, here we go. Okay, guys. I have not read this article, so bear with me. This one might actually suck. Gears Judgment was a prequel. Yeah, it didn't do hot at all. I was like in the top 100 of the world on that game. So, like, I chose one of the worst games to go top 100. Boku said, now that you mention it, I can't say that I've seen any prequel that had worse tech. I know, dude. Like, they should totally run on that. Okay, anyway, let's go ahead and jump to the article, and then we'll continue this conversation. So, I wanted to choose something product management, mainly because, well, I was actually on the fence. So, the conversation Boku and I were having today on Discord, especially since he's stretching his coding muscles, I was really thinking about talking about best coding practices, and I fucking hate that term. But I was thinking about talking about the solid, Yagni, and KISS principles, and dry. Solid, Yagni, KISS, dry, right? Those are considered the quote-unquote best practices, which that's a lot of fucking practices. But I was like, well, I don't want this to turn into a lecture. Like, I feel like if I went over those, they'd be informative. But at some point, y'all motherfuckers are going to have to take out a student loan and fucking start paying me some shit, right? So instead, I looked on our daily.dev. I went ahead and dropped in the link. So there's invite links somewhere. I could probably get you guys one, but we're going to be talking about hunting hippos, tips to avoid executive randomization. So I didn't really want to do product management, but sometimes things are people problems, and I want to talk about people problems today. Yeah, honorable mention. Bogu's got it. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start. This is by who did this? User voice. Oh shit, we don't have an author? Ghostwriter, let's go. Okay, so there's no product manager alive who hasn't spent time dreading a hippo attack. The sudden derailing of well-laid plans by a management or executive level stakeholder who insists that their direction was the right one simply because it was their idea. Man, it sounds like me. Regardless of whether or not they'd actually done any research or validation. This is the hippo problem. The moment when the highest paid person's opinion, hippo, is asserted as fact and intended to be directional. Often these hippos come from the executive level, from the CEO who has a new vision for the company, or from the CTO who wants to take the company's technology in a new direction. Dude, you guys are going to see this a lot with some companies with AI. It's going to be like, just do AI. So I have a buddy, and it's no dig on him. I think he's doing a good job. But he joined a startup. And this startup got accepted into Y Combinator. They were doing well and then not, and well and not. But one of the executives on the program was like, you need to use AI. And they're like, for what? It's some cybersecurity stuff. So they added this little button that you turn on, and it gives quote unquote AI recommendations. My guess is it's just conditionals, ifs and else's. So Boku said, I want to hear more about these PMs that suck in the world. My PM is actually a good PM from what I've heard. Well, yeah, there's a lot of shitty PMs. So let's see if they're going to talk about it here. And one more thing. So, like, one thing that I've been running into in my very, very big company is a lot of the executives want to do microservices. Like, that's the hot thing. But the thing is, microservices are built to scale. In my opinion, my company hasn't earned the scale yet. Not at least for some of the products they want to scale. So that's the way I feel. So, yeah, it happens a lot. All right, so hippos can also pop up in other contexts, such as sales management trying to ram through hypothetically big sale, development managers asserting what they know the only way to solve a problem. So that's actually me. I do that a lot. Or service delivery management teams insisting that the way they use the product is the way all customers use the product. Got plenty of those too. Hippos usually come with good intent. Rarely does a hippo represent ill intent or a desire to be obstructive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're right or that they should be allowed to dictate product direction without further investigation. So the hippo that really, really frustrates me is the one they mentioned. It's the one hippo that believes the way they use the product is the way all customers should use the product. like, have you guys ever dealt with it? Not even an executive, but maybe like a product manager or even a product owner or even a team lead that inserts themselves as the customer or the user, but they're not the customer or user. And so they make you have to like input. And this doesn't have to be in code, guys. This could be like, I don't know, like a fucking PowerPoint. But they're like, no, it has to look like this. Like people, or like a good example is Lady Frost. Like she actually creates these Excel templates for her work. And so like people are like, no, if I were to use this, I would do it this way. It's like, you're the team lead. You're not going to use it. It's going to be whoever my client is. So yeah, I don't know. I deal with that a lot. Let's see. So Boku says we have a lot of the product should use it this way because that's what we said. Oh, that is my entire engineering development team. Yeah. So I work a lot. I work a lot with customers. For our product, and I've been doing so for almost 10 years. I actually, this is something I actually think I know enough about where it's not the Dunning-Kruger effect. At least I think so. Maybe I'm wrong. That when you start having teams say, no, I understand the customer, I know exactly what they want, that's a red flag. You never know what the customer wants. And if you're not talking to the customer all the time, you're not getting feedback, you know, you may not fully know or understand what the customer needs, but you'll have evidence and data and feedback from the customer, and you can actually track that. And so, yeah, when you got the developers coming in, no, I know what they need because I'm inserting myself as the customer, that doesn't work, man. At least in a scaled business setting. Maybe in a startup, that's different. Hippos can cause problems in organizations for several reasons. First, there are cultural impacts. Oh, shit. I totally missed this. Okay. So why are hippos problematic? The problem with hippos, as elaborated by Paul Jackson of New Smart, is that hippos are subjective and unscientific. Yeah, so that's exactly what I was saying. They're pretty much saying, yeah, I understand it, but they're not using any data. In fact, they are emblematic of large autocratic organizations instead of smaller, more democratic startups. So maybe I just violated what he's saying here because I was like, you know, look, I can speak for scaled companies where they're wrong, but maybe I don't understand startups. So he says, in fact, they are emblematic of large autocratic organizations instead of smaller, more democratic startups. They are a holdover from classic command line structured organizations where people did what they were told to do simply because they had no say in the matter. And so I see this a lot in larger companies still. There's like a chain of command, and there's just so many layers of management. Like I've seen some companies that have like a quad level of middle management before you hit the C-suite. And so, yeah, that command line, it's like, hey, can I go do this? And that's part of the reason why I've been trying to start my own software company on the side. Because when you own your own company, you only need one yes. Right now, in my company, for me to get one of my projects approved, I have to get like 15 yeses. And they all have to be yeses or my project doesn't go through. Like when I start my own company, I just need one yes. And that might be like an investor or a customer, right? So hippos were once part of the corporate food chain, primarily. And so what I think they're saying is whoever's considered a hippo, maybe a C-suite or senior, you know, executive or at least a senior leader. So hippos were once part of the corporate food chain, primarily because the cost and effort to challenge their decisions simply wasn't available to others in the organization or to people outside their chain of command. Probably because they beat them down because they weren't a chain of command infrastructure. This simply isn't the case in the present day. In the present day world of big data and a culture where data is shared, where data is shared rather than being locked up at the executive level. So I think they're making an assumption that that in this world of big data, we're just looking at metrics. I think there's a lot of companies that just don't utilize metrics as much as they should, or you know, people analytics. Boku said I could never keep up with Frosty's productivity. /sweat. Oh, dude, no, I think you make assumptions. I am not productive. Like, I'm not productive. I just waste a lot of time. A lot of time. I mean, I have products I never delivered that I worked on 10 years ago. Like, it's, ugh. Nah. I don't know. I actually think I may need to take some notes from some of you guys. So hippos can cause problems in organizations for several reasons. First, there are cultural impacts to hippo behavior. For example, the people who are executing product efforts on a daily basis may begin feeling micromanaged or a lack of confidence. Yeah, I think if you're in the trenches, you're going to feel that no matter what. I think it's very rare to not feel this. How many? Oh, shit. Okay, so listen. How many codes can you do in a single productive hour? How many lines of code? Are you asking a serious question or like that? That's very variable. It really depends on the product. So that's not productivity. You know what? Let's talk productivity after this. I have an idea because lines of code's not productivity, but I got a little tool for y'all's tool belt for y'all who either code, want to be coders, but I actually think this can transcend other industries. Okay, so I want to have that conversation in a bit, so remind me, okay? Here, this is the key word to remind me. This all I want you to do is tell me that. Oh, yeah, no. So, Boku, what we're about to talk about. Oh, shit.
He's asking how many lines you can do in an hour.
Yeah. Okay, one, what the fuck? What happened to my alert? Why is my alert all fucked? Did you guys see that? Spagooter, thanks for the 45 months, dude. Holy shit. Is that 4 years? No, so Spagooter knows why how many lines you can do in an hour doesn't matter. Oh, you mean lines of cocaine? Oh, man. Oh, I do not. What happened? Hold on. No, we'll fix that in a bit. Yeah, Twitch is fucking with me, man. Anyway, let's keep going. Spagooter already knows what I typed in there. Don't Google it. Remind me. We'll have a good conversation there. Okay, so when decisions are being made primarily by one or two people. Yo, the sub, dude. Yo, thanks for the sub, Boku, but this shit's fucked, bro. No, we're gonna snooze this ad. We're not doing ads. Fuck. What the fuck? All right. When decisions are being made primarily by one or two people, seemingly based on their own whimsy and opinions, others in the organization begin to doubt their own impact on the direction of strategy of the product, especially those who are closest to the customer, such as support, sales, or even product management. The more often decisions wind up being made by a hippo, the less likely customer-facing teams are to engage in planning. And the further afield the company winds up getting from solving the actual problems of their real markets and customers. The hippo often used to live among the people that the product serves, but doesn't realize that they've lost that contact and context simply by virtue of their new role in the company they're working in. So they think they're representing the best interests of the customer, but in fact may no longer have the context to do so, while actively, if not intentionally, pushing away those who maintain that very context. Yeah, I think sometimes you can be in an area too long, and you think you're still the customer, and you haven't been the customer for years, decades even. All right, let's keep going. All right, second, there are confidence impacts, where changing plans or direction based on what appears to be whims of the hippo cause massive disruption in strategic planning and tactical execution. Hippo decisions that don't cause change are rarely problematic. In fact, if a hippo confirms the direction you're already going, it's unlikely to even look like a hippo. But when these decisions do make changes, they're rarely course corrections and often require charting an entirely new direction out of the whole cloth. And when that happens, it causes others in the organization to question not only the prior path that the company was on, but also the new direction. Yeah, and when companies change directions often, people in the trenches can fucking tell. They're gonna say, like, what the fuck are we even doing? Okay, so people like to see things through once they begin them. They want to know that their work is valued and that it is valuable. They want to believe. Hold on, I should probably. Oh shit! Hold on. There you go. Okay. Where the fuck was I? People like to see things through once they begin them. God damn, Chaotic World with some more biddies, bro. Thanks for them itty bitties. People like to see things through once they begin them. They want to know that their work is valued and that it is valuable. They want to believe that when the company starts something, it is with an intent to finish it, yes, and that the decision is based on some reliable course of thought and discussion. Repeated changes of direction through hippo influence can undercut influence in the product, in the leadership, and even in the company as a whole, which can have disastrous effect on the company morale. Third, there are practical impacts on work in progress that often explode when a hippo asserts a new and unsubstantiated opinion on what the company should be doing or where the product should be going. So hippos are just throwing wrenches. That's what I'm hearing. Hippos often... What the fuck? Go away. Hippos often don't realize that their thoughts and comments have real impacts on day-to-day work that goes on around them. So I actually saw this. We had an executive VP that came from some organization. He was very young, and he had ownership in like 4 or 5 different startups. He was on the chair. He would advise like Congress or something on technical R&D, and then he was also like one of our executive vice presidents, and we had a Slack channel for the whole company, and he would always just come in and throw some AI information or things he was doing with AI or blockchain information and things he was doing with blockchain. And a lot of our like sweaty devs that really had that notice me senpai kind of deal would just Slack all day and talk about AI and blockchain and stuff. And I'm like, guys, we got fucking deliveries. Like, are you kidding me? So that was one of the cases I think that they're talking about, is that hippos don't often realize their thoughts and comments have real impact on day-to-day work. And it just seemed like we had numerous amounts of team leads that wanted the whole notice me, or that had that whole notice me senpai kind of deal, that they were getting really distracted. Okay, so they sometimes don't understand that changes in product strategy work to deliver something to a valuable client, or even changes in technology incur opportunity costs against work that's already in progress. Yeah, can you go write some story points, like 8 story points to go rewrite Chat GPT? Dude, I'm telling you, if I hear that again, it's not uncommon, in fact, for a hippo to inquire about why previously planned work is delayed after having provided new direction or deliverables that cost resources, time, and effort to deliver. The more often this happens to execution teams, the more disillusioned they become in the work that they're being asked to do on a daily basis. And this is another, I guess, hazard of Agile. If you have technical leaders or executive leaders or hippos, I guess, that don't understand Agile and really what it's meant for, they just figure, oh, well, we're Agile, we can pivot. And then they're constantly pivoting their organizations. So Boku said, it's me, I'm the one talking to the devs, taking the time. Yeah, dude, are you the hippo? So what strategies work when taming hippos? Fortunately, there is a wide variety of strategies that can be used to manage around the wants and desires of the hippo. Fight opinions with data. Dan Barksdale of Netscape is credited with a famous quote that encapsulates both the problem of a hippo and the primary solution. If we have data, let's look at data. If all we have is opinions, let's go with mine. Oh, I fucking love that, dude. Dude, you are going to see a fucking Slack post Monday morning, and I am posting this shit. I am posting this shit, and I'm pinning it to our organization's fucking Slack channel, dude. If we have data, let's look at the data. If all we have is opinions, let's go with mine. Yes. Fuck, I love that quote. Spagooter said, wait, are hippos anti-patterns? No. Hippos are highly paid people with opinions. So think like executives or technical leadership. You have hippos, Spagooter. Boku said, I'm not highly paid or high in the organization, so not a hippo. Just a man trying to do better for the engineers, and sometimes that has to take their time. Nah, I mean, managers are going to have to manage. Now, this is talking, dude, this is talking about the person who's wearing a fucking suit, right? Who's on the board of something or on multiple boards, and comes in as like, hey, I saw that ChatGPT is out. Can we integrate with ChatGPT? Is there any way our product can integrate with ChatGPT? I want to do blockchain. Can we create our own company, coin, digital coin? Can we create shit coin, right? It's like, it's that not uneducated, but it's just that I want to chase the latest thing, or, hey, I have opinions on something that happened a decade ago that I'm completely out of the loop. A lot of times it's even people that don't understand technology. It's not management. A CEO can be a hippo, right? So this simple quote really tells us all we need to begin to attack the hippo problem. In the absence of data, the hippo wins every time. That's because without data, all that we have are opinions, and the more experienced voice in the room is often also that of the hippo. Thus, the best and easiest way to work to correct for hippo behavior in an organization is to either have the data ready when engaging in discussions likely to result in hippo decisions, or to diffuse the situation so that you can either validate or invalidate the hippo's decisions and desires. As noted by Dan Petrowski in an excellent Medium post on small team product management, it's important to note that the data that you might want or need doesn't always have to be quantitative data. While it's great to test and validate ideas with solid numbers, it's sometimes expensive to do so. And if we lack quantitative data, we can always collect, collate, and present qualitative data. As Dan says, when there are no metrics, gather opinions. But the opinions that you collect must either be strongly compelling, such as a quick survey of important clients, and or organizations focused on identifying how the proposed course of action contributes to the important metrics at your organization. It's about reframing the conversation so that the opinion is not the target of the inquiry, but rather that the goals of the company frame the discussion and the proposed course of action is bounced off those goals. It ceases to be a battle of opinion and becomes a battle of rationalization. Which is why, Boku, like what I was talking about, is that if you're actually talking to the customers and you're actually able to get those opinions and tie it to them, then I guess that would drive like, hey, what's, if we implement these new solutions, will this improve our revenue or not? Right? Will this create us more runway so we can keep operating without running out of money? Lastly, it's essential that product management teams have direct customer contact and market interaction in order to diffuse hippo situations. All right. As Rich Morinov notes, very often a hippo conversation comes from a singular meeting with an important customer or influential analyst. In those instances, the data that can be used to deflect the hippo input is the exposure that the product manager has in the market. I've talked to 12 customers in the past 2 weeks, and 8 of the 12 told me X. It sounds like what we're talking about might be an outlier. It won't necessarily end the conversation, but it does set the context for the discussion that perhaps the hippo's opinion doesn't represent a broadly applicable request, but more of a one-off interest. Yeah, so I guess you can take those qualitative surveys and turn them quantitative, I guess. Yeah, that's a good idea. I guess I haven't done that before. Prioritize the work. One of the most entertaining ideas I've encountered with regard to product input and prioritization, as Rich Marinov's famous idea train, as Rich puts it, the idea train pulls into product station every day and delivers hundreds of good ideas. However, Rich notes, a few of these ideas are really as new or earth-shaking as those on board the train would like to believe, and the Hippo's input really should be treated as just another piece of cargo carried by that train, one that needs to be validated and prioritized against the current backlog of work that's already been discussed and agreed upon. After all, the development team can only implement a couple new ideas this week from among the 100 proposed. Let's see. Ha! Boku said, I'll create you Frosty Token Rex. Spagooter says, oh, I see. In that case, some of the ones that I have are also cage match managers. Oh, God. Do you guys have a lot of cage matches? We have a lot of cage matches. For those of you who don't know, cage matches is where you have two opinionated people that usually have a lot of experience or a lot of pull, and they have a meeting and they pit their ideas against each other and only one will win. We have a lot of cage matches. It sucks. Aside from having hard data to use in challenging a Hippo's directions, the next best thing that a product manager can have is a solid, prioritized, and clearly elaborated product backlog or a product roadmap. This backlog and the process used to create it need to be transparent and inclusive of the management and executive teams, so that when a new and disruptive proposal comes up, it's entirely unsurprising for the product manager to simply say, that's a great idea, but where does it stack up against the 10 tactical projects that we have going on right now? So for those of you guys who don't know, Spagooter and I have worked together for many years, actually. And so I have been Spagooter's team lead. And Spagooter, you could tell him, man, that product roadmap that we've created has protected us so many fucking times from coming in on the weekends, man. Having that roadmap, someone coming up, hey, can you do this, this, and that? Yeah, but which of these do you want to fall out? You're going to lose this release, or that release. Ah, no, never mind. Yeah, that saved our ass a lot of times. So it could be that the Hippo will assert that it's obviously the most important thing, but when faced with the actual list upon which other groups in the company may have based their own deliverables, so cross-team dependencies, it's very likely that what is important in the moment falls down below the line for consideration when others get involved. Deflect the input. Often, however, product managers wind up in a tough situation where Hippos show their true colors because these decisions or objectives come out of nowhere with little to no warning. When this happens, you may not have the data, and your attempts to get the Hippo to prioritize the work against current efforts may be difficult row to hoe. It is in these situations where Rich recommends a deflective approach. Quote, that's a very interesting and smart idea of yours. Let's take it offline so that I can learn more, write up some requirements, and see what kind of effort we're looking at. Yeah, I usually try to do that. When I tell them I'm going to take requirements, I usually try to get them to sign off on it. And then one little trick I do, so I use GitLab, but I've done this in Confluence as well, is I create digital decisions. So digital decisions is where I take those requirements that one of our Hippos would sign off on, and then I put that they agreed on that date. If I can attach an email, I will, and I will put that in our wiki so I can look at it later. It has saved me so many times. So if any of you guys do coding, or you know what, if any of you guys work somewhere and one of the highly paid people tells you to go do something, and in your gut, you know it's going to throw off some other work that needs to be done, you need to create digital decisions where you take that conversation. I used to have a folder called CYA, check your ass, and I would put those digital decisions there so you can track them, because it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. The goal of this approach is to deflect the impact of the Hippo's decisions and to buy you time as the product manager to, well, do your job. It reinforces the Hippo's position of authority, gives their ego just enough to polish so that they don't feel attacked, and buys the team valuable time to actually validate the opinion, confirm the existence of a market problem that it solves, and to size the effort so that the valid prioritization decision can be made at a later date. The other important thing that this buys the product manager is time and separation. Many times the opinions of a hippo change drastically from moment to moment. And what was of the utmost importance yesterday, because it was a top of mind after an analyst call, becomes far less important over the course of a day or two. Deflection is an amazing tool when used properly, as it both allows the hippo to assert their opinion and authority, but also reinforces the role of product management in validating, confirming, and prioritizing improvements to the product. I think this is great here. Like, if you... I like the idea, because I've had hippos, quote unquote, that are very top of mind. I'm like that too, where it's like, what's the latest idea that came down? I want to go kind of shoot my idea towards somebody and kind of see where it goes. There was a time where I was running into an issue where people kept bothering me and I couldn't integrate my product. So I went around looking for a room in my company where I could go hide and integrate our product. And so I try to get funding and I try to get all this equipment to be able to stand up like a laboratory. And I was getting it all done and everything. And I started to realize like shit was about to like go bad. And so my manager was like, hey, you know what? Can you go focus on the tasks that you got? And why don't you come in on Friday, which I don't work Fridays usually. Come in on Friday and we'll discuss everything that's needed for this. I was like, man, I don't want to do that. So sure enough, that laboratory never got stood up. And I'm going to be honest, I don't even want to at this point. So this tactic has been used on me and it works. So hippos aren't always evil though. Am I a hippo? Although many people see hippos as an entirely evil or destructive force, the truth is that's simply not always the case. Tristan Cromer wrote a great piece in defense of the hippo, in which he identifies 3 situations where bending to the will of a hippo is actually productive, and proposes that the hippo is far less dangerous to a product company than the zebra. Zero evidence, but really arrogant. Dude! How many of you guys have fucking zebras, dude? Yo, I think I'm a fucking zebra. Anyway, okay, so Tristan's... Spagooter, you got any zebras, bro? Tristan's thesis centers around the cost of testing ideas, which can sometimes be far greater than simply executing them and retrospectively confirming their delivery, on the need for product managers to choose their battles and to occasionally bend to the hippos for purely political reasons, when the impact to the product is negligible, and that a hippo decision can simply end debates that had no point in the first place. Even though we often see hippos as a destructive force or source of undue randomization, we should also realize that the hippo often is in a role of authority or leadership, and that sometimes just doing what they're asking is less trouble than it is fighting them. In Tristan's article, he explains that the difference between a hippo and a zebra is that the hippo can still be swayed by facts. The hippo is a Barksdale. In the absence of data, their opinion rules. A zebra, on the other hand, asserts their opinion as fact and is not only uninterested in debate, but actively shuts it down. Anyone who's heard an executive tell them the customer is just wrong or the customer just doesn't get it was dealing with a zebra. Boku, you've been dealing with that, man. And not a hippo. Hippos can be reasoned with, engaged with in prioritization, and swayed with facts and data. Zebras are stubborn and insist that you do what they say simply because they said it. As product managers, understanding how to identify a hippo or even a zebra is something that we should focus on every day. Dealing with the impacts of our decisions or deflecting those decisions with data-driven decision-making is a skill that separates merely good product managers from great ones. Oh, Cliff Gilly. Here you go. Cliff Gilly's our guy. Oh, man. So Spagooter said, I don't want to think what could have happened if we didn't have those roadmaps to protect us. I know, man. Boku said Frosty is a hippo or Frosty is a zebra. Exit. I think I'm both, dude. I'm a zebra hippo. Spagooter said there's a zoo of them. Oh, fuck. All right, so I want to talk about Dora real quick. It won't take long. Because we were talking about data, Boku. I got something for you. Which one do I want to do? God damn it. Here we go. Let's do this one. All right. So Boku said a heapra. Spagooter said in the old days I used to fight with a zebra. Frosty knows which one I'm talking about. I used to fight with a zebra, bro. Dude. Oh my god, man. I partially left because I kept having to fight with the zebra and they wouldn't let me, like, not. Boku said, yeah, how do you define productivity when it comes to being a software engineer? Okay. So we were talking about productivity as lines of code. Lines of code don't matter. And the reason lines of code don't matter is because it used to be back in the day, you used to be able to charge per lines of code. You can't do that anymore. That's actually a lot of the reason why you would see... have you ever seen code and then the bracket goes below the method? So you write a function and then you do the bracket below the method. Then you write the code and then you do the bracket and then you press enter. They used to do that because they used to charge per line of code. Like, that's why it was like that. Now the brackets are usually in the same line because they don't do that shit anymore. So, well then, how do you measure productivity? I remember when I was working with a senior manager, he wanted to completely automate metrics for our whole company. And so he grabbed me, and the first thing I did was I came up with 600 metrics that we could use against the company, and he was completely overwhelmed. Then I found out about the DevOps research assessments. So you can look up DORA, DevOps research assessments. Every year, they do studies on, it's about, I think it's 1,000 companies. Well, it's 1,000 product teams, not 1,000 companies. So it could be like 200 companies. 1,000 product teams, and I think it's 50,000 product teams, 1,000 companies, I think. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I don't remember how many there are. And what they found from years of seeing their operations is there's 4 major metrics that need, like, kind of like KPIs, key performance indicators, that you need to ensure are good for a team to be productive. So don't think like software engineer, think team, right? And then from there, you can find out who's actually performing and who's not. And the evidence is insurmountable. And they produce these like 100-page reports every year. You can read the whole report, and they will tell what companies are doing it. So I'm just going to get on with it. So DevOps Research Assessment Group, report with insights from 6 years of research. Yeah, so they researched for 6 years before they started releasing it. Identified 4 key metrics. Deployment frequency. When I interviewed with Indeed, I told them this is my number 1 KPI because I interviewed to be a manager and they told me that is stupid. And then they laid off 1,000 people from that organization. So who was right, motherfucker? Lead time for changes. So what does lead time for changes means? Lead time for changes means that when your customer provides you feedback, or you have been given direction to go do work, maybe from a lead or architects, you receive requirements and you receive work as a software engineer or software engineers and teams. How long does it take that you receive the requirement to it being in production? Not when you close your ticket, not when you commit it to your repo, that it is in production. What is that amount of time? And the shorter that time is, the better. Deployment frequency. The pretty much the idea, we're going back one. Pretty much the idea is that if you're deploying often, multiple times a day, multiple times a day, the idea is that you learn more and that you're creating fixes in very small chunks. For example, with the product that I use at work, we're merging to our main trunk. Just for one of the products, I'm looking over like 10 times a day. And every single time, it's just small baby amounts of new features or bug fixes. And we're providing that to the main trunk and only testing those small pieces. And if they fail, we back them out. And if they fail, we back them out. And if they fail, we back them out. Oh, they worked. Push them in. And you're learning. You're learning in baby-sized chunks because baby-sized chunks are easy to fix. We're going to jump to number 3, change failure rate. So let's say you're team lead. When your team adds a new feature or puts in a new bug fix, how often does that actually either cause another bug, crashes the system, causes failure in production, causes other errors, data leaks, customer data, which is really bad. The idea is that the lower this change failure rate is, the better. And really, like, I think you're seeing a pattern that what really helps these is automation. You need to have automation in place, and you need to have processes in place that speeds you up to be able to do this. So instead of you actually SSHing into a server and then SCPing this fucker, to that server and then typing, fucking Python install, whatever, or Helm install, instead of doing shit like that, you have a pipeline that does it. You just commit to your repo and it does everything for you. And you do that every single time you change code, right? So then the last one, mean time to recover. This is my favorite, MTTR. So mean time to recover means that in production, an outage happens, maybe a bug, maybe an actual outage. How long does it take your team to get that thing from inoperable to operable? So the idea is with deployment frequency, the more you deploy, the more you learn, the faster you're able to back out bad changes, the higher, the better. Lead time for changes. The faster you can push out a change and it works in production, the better. Change failure rate. The least amount of time, like the fewer the times that your system breaks in production due to a change, the better. Mean time to recover. The faster you can get your product working when it fails, the better. If you knock out all of these, your productivity is through the fucking roof. So I pretty much explained all this shit. So this metric refers to how often an organization deploys code to production. Easy. Change lead time. This metric, the total time between the receipt of a change request and the deployment to change to production. Nailed that one. Change failure rate. The change failure rate measures the rate at which changes in production result in a rollback. Yep. Or a failure. Mean time to recover. It takes a service to recover from a failure. In all DevOps teams, no matter how effective, unplanned outages and incidents will happen. Because failures are unavoidable, the time it takes to restore a system and application is critical. So this is what I like. In the assessment, after 6 years, this is what they came up with. Deployment frequency. So this that productivity we're talking about. Low performance. So don't think... So maybe I misunderstood. I said productivity. I guess for an individual developer, productivity, it's kind of an overused term because you see those YouTube videos of like, oh, increase your productivity with this ultra wide screen and these waifu fucking titty pillow placemats, which I still need one, by the way. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being productive or having high performance as a professional software engineer. So anyway, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. So deployment frequency. But I'm talking in terms of teams, not individuals. So a low deployment frequency is fewer than once per 6 months. So if you only release once per 6 months, which was my organization before I joined, you're a low performer. Medium performer, between once per month and once every 6 months. So just being a medium performer, you're releasing once per month. And a lot of organizations say this. They're like, we're doing our monthly release. If you only release 12 times a year, according to the revenue that they were looking at for these teams, you're a medium performer. High performer, once per week or once per month. So if you're releasing once per week, you're a high performer. But to be an elite performer, it's on demand. You fucking push code and it's in production. And not saying that it goes to production. It's that it's completely automated. What's up, Super Mega? What's going on, dude? I'll actually stay for the stream this time, unlike last time. Boku said, I don't know. We are monolithic and maybe we release 2 to 3 updates per year. Yeah. I think you can do it with monolithic. I've done it with monolithic. No, a release is not a PR to commit. That's just a merge request. That would be considered a deployment. A release is going to production. So unless your main goes to production, our tags go to production. But a release is an actual release to the customer. But Boku, on that note, what I've told them at work, because they're always like, no, we do deployments. We don't do releases. I'm like, that's stupid. What I tell them is when I say release, I mean deployment, because we're using the GitHub workflow, so we only have main and feature branches. We don't do this crazy fucking release branch and hotfix branch and dev branch. We don't do any of that shit. That's old school. Okay, lead time for changes. So you remember that's how long it takes to make a change. Low performers, more than 6 months. So if it takes 6 months that you get a requirement to getting in production, low performers. Medium performers, between 1 month and 6 months. High performers, between 1 day and 1 week. Lead time for changes, elite, less than 1 hour. So based on the 6 years they were studying, less than 1 hour is what elite teams that had elite programs that had high revenue are doing. Boku said, we don't have production because we release and then the customer takes a file and upgrades the software. Yeah. You got to do what you got to do, but I think you're in a rather new startup. New startups don't scale. Startups don't scale. I want you to think of this in terms of a scaled company. Boku said, we are literally doing old school you described. Yeah, because you're a startup. Startups should not scale. Startups have to earn their scale. But yeah, me and Funkbot were having a discussion about that today. You're in a startup. I expect you, like, if I were your investor, I'd want you to not scale. Your job right now is to go get customers, right? You're a B2B platform. Go get customers, earn your scale. My company has been scaled for decades. So, we got to scale. Supa said, I've been failing at the Roblox FNAF game. I'm stuck. Oof. I've never played FNAF. So time to restore. Low, more than 6 months. Medium, between 1 day and 1 week. If it takes you a day to restore your service, you're medium performance. High, less than 1 day. Elite, less than 1 hour. And then change failure rate. So pretty much you're either, I would just remove these. You're either a low performer or you're elite. So if fewer than 15% of your changes fail, you're elite. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you. There's a lot of shit in here that you can look up. There's applications that actually help you do this. I recommend GitLab. GitLab does it pretty well. So what do you guys think? Did you guys enjoy that? All right. We're going to do a sound check on Helldivers. And then we're going to see, I think the new patch is out, guys. So how you doing, Supa? Everything good? How was the move? Boku said, so honestly, when we have a system down event for a customer, I can usually get on and resolve the issue within an hour. Some cases require a day or two. Yep, that makes you a high performer. Yes. Like for real, Boku. Based on the insurmountable evidence they had for 6 years of studying and looking at revenue for those companies, yes, you're a high performer. So I have proposed to my company, and those proposals got shut down. Of course, someone else proposed years later, but I made plenty of proposals for my company to use Dora. And like I told you, when I applied to Indeed, I told them, as a manager, my KPIs are going to, my top 4 KPIs are going to be Dora metrics. And the director of R&D told me, that's stupid. He was like, that's really stupid. And I was like, how so? Explain. He's like, those are just bad KPIs. And no kidding, they had to lay off everyone in that organization. So, I mean, am I wrong? I don't know. So, yeah, Super, I don't expect you to know any of this. It's fine. You'll get there. Funkbot said, making some clam chowder, then I should be on in 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Hell yeah, Boku, you're high performer material. Fuck yeah. All right, we're going to go ahead and shut off the music. Lady Frost and I are going to do a mission without Funk. Okay. All right. All right, we're going to turn on game. Actually. Let's make sure our game's actually playing fucking sound. Hell yeah. Okay. Spagooter said, this is how you can tell you're a trailblazer personality. You always suffer from the wedge salad effect. What the fuck is the wedge salad effect? I always learn new fucking like shit from Spagooter. He says something, I'm like, that's dumb, and then I use it in a sentence the next fucking day. Oh man. All right. Let's see. I just did the wedge salad effect. What the fuck is it?
The siege upon managed democracy continues. Let us rally to her defense.
Is it still the, so there's a major order apparently where we can win a new stratagem, or we could save sick kids. Is that what this is? It just looks like we gotta liberate some fucking shit. Vernon Wells. Where the fuck is Vernon? Oh, we can see supply lines now. All right.
Brings us one step closer to the full democratization of the known universe.
All right. I guess we gotta fight the bots.
The operation proceeds smoothly.
Initiating FTL jump to the Marfark system.
I should just update it again. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, you sound fine.
Okay.
Jump complete.
All right.
Mission coordinates locked.
A strong economy.
Is there more stratagems we don't have, or yeah, ship module. Can I afford? Oh, I think I can afford one of these fuckers. No, not yet.
Do you ever get your push to talks to work again?
Nah, not really. It's not going to work. I'd have to move to OBS completely.
Hopefully my computer. Oh no. That's for later. Okay, I thought I was gonna force a restart.
Are you gonna do the turrets now that they all got buffed? I'll just roll with you and I'll do the airstrikes.
Thinking about it.
Yeah, I think you should. Just get yourself whatever gun you want. If you want a gun. But if you get 4 turrets, I would get... So if you get 4 turrets, one of them I'd get is the machine gun one, and that is your gun, because it's up every... Is it 60 seconds or 70 seconds? I think it's 70.
70.
So every minute, you have 1 turret available. That's fucking crazy. So yeah, you just use your adjudicator and let it do its job.
Are we gonna be fighting bots or bugs?
Bots. That's the major order. So Supa says, by the way, is it just me? But whenever the screen moves, the game quality drops it. Oh, does it? Mm. Yeah, I think you're right. Let's see if this helps it. So I think the reason that's happening is because I have not direct connected this my streaming PC, so it's actually running off Wi-Fi. I think that's why. Is that better? Can't really tell. Is that better? Spooter said, the wedge salad effect is when someone ignores your recommendation or ideas only to do them later without recognizing that you suggested it. Dude, I do that all the time.
And from what I hear, they do that to you all the time too.
Well, he's saying I literally just did it. Boku said, yeah, I think it's an artifact of the dual PC setup. Yeah, I really do think it has to do with, I never direct connected it just to make it work. So it's still running off Wi-Fi. I have the cord, but I'd have to run it. I just don't want to right now. So you're going to see a little bit of lower quality.
He also complained because I had the wrong arm, and he's like, I need a new arm immediately. So I bought it for the next day. It's been sitting in the box for the last 2 weeks because he just doesn't want to have to deal with putting it on.
Yeah, I'm a pain in the ass.
I'm literally about to return that stupid thing.
Spagooter said it comes from an episode of Modern Family where Phil tells Claire that a friend turned him on to the idea of wedge salad. Oh, I remember that episode, dude. I remember that episode. It turns out Claire suggested to him way before his friend did, and Phil ignored her recommendation. I remember that.
That's actually, I think that's the plight of all wives. Just FYI, to any of you men, if you guys have ever gotten a girlfriend or a wife upset with you because you said, oh my god, I just tried this new thing, it's amazing, more than likely she's told you about it like 3 or 4 times before, and you just either flat out ignored her or completely didn't believe her until you either read it on your own or a friend told you about it.
Oh, holy shit. I know what's wrong. I think I can fix the stream.